further secure America's future and create opportunity for young people, I will end Joe Biden's war on crypto. We will ensure that the future of crypto and the future of Bitcoin will be made in America. Otherwise, other countries are going to have it.
Yo, welcome to Simply Bitcoin Live, your number one source for the peaceful Bitcoin revolution. Current breaking news, culture, manic warfare will be your guide through the separation of money and state. Ladies and gentlemen, you're tuned into Simply Bitcoin Live, the most watched daily Bitcoin live show on YouTube, Rumble, and X. Sit back, relax, enjoy the ride. We changed it up a little bit. We started with the cold opening. Again, Bitcoin is entering into the mainstream political discussion. You have the potential President of the United States basically saying that he will protect the right to self-custody and protect Bitcoin mining. He wants Bitcoins to be mined in the United States. Absolute explosion of the Overton window. Anyways, guys, we have a loaded show for you guys today. We're going to answer a question that I get all the time, and that question is, are you late to Bitcoin? I'm going to give you an indirect response to that. It's Michael Saylor at BTC Prague. Shout out to Dylan Leclerc because he's the one that retweeted this video. And he basically retweeted a video of Michael Saylor essentially giving a speech to basically a class of Harvard students. And it's going to surprise you how they reacted to Michael Saylor's Bitcoin strategy. And actually, Jesse Myers wrote an amazing article called Why the Yuppie Elite Dismiss Bitcoin. So the fact that you have, this is Harvard, right? This is one of the hardest schools to get into. Supposedly, these are the elites of the elites. These are the smartest people in the room. And if they're dismissing this today in 2024, after Larry Fink is like, yo, Bitcoin is the future, I gotta say, that pretty much tells me that we're pretty effing early. So I'm gonna play that for you guys. Also, Michael Saylor has continued to double down. He announced that he was gonna raise money to buy Bitcoin. He actually did it. He bought $786 million worth of Bitcoin, 11,931 BTC. MicroStrategy currently holds 226,000 Bitcoin and they acquired it at an average price of $36,798 per coin. So absolutely insane. Shout out to the Chad Saylor coming in hot. And of course, we have the one, the only American Hodl on the What Bitcoin Did podcast. Shout out Peter McCormack, amazing content. And Peter asked him, are we too late to Bitcoin? And I absolutely loved American Hodl's response. So we have that loaded up for you guys as well. And then in the beginning, during the numbers section, I can't wait for this. Jeff Booth has a way with words, and he's basically describing how Bitcoin is making him bullish on humanity. So we're going to watch that video. We're going to react to it. I love Jeff Booth's take, and he really opened my eyes to it every single time he comes on Simply Bitcoin IRL, the interview series. You guys should check it out. I think I've interviewed Jeff like 2 or 3 times. He blows my mind every time. And essentially where I am in the Jeff Booth Bitcoin rabbit hole is essentially that we have to understand that the censorship and the coercion and the laws and the war and all these things that you're seeing in fiat society are a symptom of a system that requires coercion to work, because it's a system that's fundamentally based on theft. And we as Bitcoiners have to understand this is very difficult for us to understand, especially if we've lived in the fiat matrix. If we spend a lot of time in the fiat matrix, it reminds me of the scene in the movie The Matrix. So cliche, but I'm gonna say it anyways. They put Neo in the construct. Morpheus puts him in there. Neo can't handle it. He's like, no, this isn't real. He like passes out. He wakes up in the next scene. Morpheus is like, like next to him. And he says, I'm sorry, Neo, after a certain age, we don't wake people up because it's too much for their mind to handle. This is what I'm talking about. Bitcoin is a paradigm shift. And for a lot of us, we don't understand that Bitcoin is an aligned incentive structure system. What does that mean? That means that everyone could win, right? Everyone could win. Full stop. In the fiat system, a bureaucratic elite, a financial elite win, everyone else loses. In the Bitcoin system, yeah, Michael Saylor might have more Bitcoin than you, but Michael Saylor is going to benefit from number go up just as much as you are. He doesn't have a special privilege. He has to buy Bitcoin. If he wants to make more Bitcoin, he has to mine it like everyone else. Of course, he's using the infinite money glitch, but that's not a fault of Bitcoin. That's a fault of the financial system. You can call it a speculative attack. But yeah, so so much content for you guys as well. And of course, I have my legendary co-host, and we have some special stuff for you guys during the culture segment. So no more bring up Opti on stage. Opti, how you doing, bro? How was the cold open? It was a little bit of a change.
Honestly, you kind of fumbled it. I'm not gonna lie, because you forgot to switch the thumbnail on there. But it was great. I actually think we should be doing more cold opens. I kind of like it. I thought you were trying to warn me. You're like, I'm gonna do cold open, go straight into the show. I thought you were gonna do like a cold open and just like literally jump right into it. But hey,
maybe I should do that. Maybe I should do that next time.
Yeah,
let us, guys, let us know down in the comments.
No. I think what you need to do. I think what you need to do is it's cold open, but then don't do like our normal pretense of like our Simply Bitcoin chill. It's like just go straight into what we're going to talk about. I think that'd probably flow better. And then on the end, cap the we're Simply Bitcoin. Anyways, we're brainstorming live on the show today. But yeah, man, it's a great day to be a Bitcoiner. It's always a great day to be a Bitcoiner. And actually, on your point, this morning, I did watch Jack Mallers' keynote at BTC Prague. I highly recommend you guys watch that after today's show, because it really ties in everything we're talking about today. And it was a great speech. Jack Mallers killed it every single time that he's up there and has a mic in front of his face. So love it, love it, love it. And anyways, Nico, on the culture, we're going to have a little update on Javier Milei out of Argentina. We got I would say a pretty legendary tweet coming out from him yesterday. I do have some updates on the economy over there, and not to dox some of the people we work with, but we did have a conversation with a fellow Argentinian, and they were telling us that they are very hopeful about Milei, even though we're seeing the mainstream media kind of push the narrative that like everything's going to shit. Yeah, I wonder why. I'm pretty sure everyone saw the tweets and the videos of them riding and all that stuff. And yeah, while that is actually occurring, it might be that Argentina is turning the ship around. But what do we know? We're just we're just Bitcoiners in America looking for Bitcoin signal. And I think we got some today, Nico. So it's going to be good to update. Oh, actually, though, guys, I do want to forewarn you. They are doing construction literally right outside my window today. So if you
can't hear it anymore, bro.
Okay. All right. So they might have just took a break. But just FYI, you might be hearing them like break down stuff on my end. So I'll keep myself muted. All
right, everybody. Before we jump into the show, I do want to give an extremely special shout out to our sponsor, Bitcoin Well. Bitcoin Well is the best place to build your automatic self-custody Bitcoin stack. Buy real Bitcoin. Enable your independence with the fastest and safest way to buy Bitcoin in Canada and the USA. To get started, put in your email address. It's a clear 1% spread. Obviously, it's Bitcoin only, and it's completely non-custodial. Empowering sovereign ownership with free automatic self-custody. That's right. You can't buy Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well unless you intend to take self-custody, which perfectly aligns with Simply Bitcoin ethos. Also, if you're an existing customer of Bitcoin Well, and if you haven't signed up to Bitcoin Well yet, you can use the promo code SimplyBTC, and that will give you 3 tosses into the Bitcoin wishing well. If you're an existing user of Bitcoin Well, every time you buy Bitcoin, you earn points, and you can use some of those points towards the Bitcoin wishing well. What is the Bitcoin wishing well? Well, it's like this kind of contest. You can win up to 1 million Satoshis, and I'll do one for you guys right here in a little bit. And right here, you toss a coin into the wishing well, and bada bing, bada boom, a QR code gets put up on screen. First person to scan the QR code gets the free Satoshis. I'm not going to scan it. And one more coin toss. There we go. But be warned, if it's 1 million Satoshis, Opti apparently will take it.
And also, I hear there's a 210,000 one, so I might take that one too. As you guys can see, I'm pulling out my phone every time because I'm not going to let you guys get that one.
So if you sign up to bitcoinwell.com using promo code SimplyBTC, you get 3 tosses to the Bitcoin wishing well. If you're buying Bitcoin on Bitcoin Well, you're earning points. Use those points. Toss a coin into the Bitcoin wishing well and potentially earn some Satoshis. All right, everybody, let's hit the numbers.
The Bitcoin numbers.
Is your Bitcoin in cold storage really secure? Is your seed phrase really secure? Stampseed's do-it-yourself kit has everything you need to hammer your seed words into commercial-grade titanium plates instead of just writing them on paper. Don't store your generational wealth on paper. Paper is prone to water damage, fire damage. You want to put your generational wealth on one of the strongest metals on planet Earth, titanium. Your words are actually stamped into this metal plate with this hammer and these letter stamps. And once your words are in, they aren't going anywhere. No risk of the plate breaking apart and pieces falling everywhere. Titanium stamped seeds will survive nearly triple the heat produced by a house fire. They're also crush-proof, waterproof, non-corrosive, and time-proof. All things that paper is not, allowing you to hodl your Bitcoin with peace of mind for the long haul. Stamp your seed on Stampseed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I made it incredibly easy for you guys. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now. Take advantage of the promo code simply to get 15% off anything on the Stampseed website. Guys, stamp your generational wealth on titanium. Don't write it down on paper. At the time of recording, the Bitcoin price is 64,550 sats per dollar, 1,549. Block height 848,779. Blocks to halving 201,221. Halving estimate March 25th, 2028. Total Lightning Network capacity 4,851 BTC. Capacity value $313 million US dollars. Realized monetary inflation 1.58%. Market capitalization 1.27 trillion. And Bitcoin versus gold market cap, it's under 8%, 7.94%. The grand scheme of things, we're just getting started. I think Bitcoin is completely superior to gold. Anyways, here is Jack Ballers and Jeff Booth giving a heartwarming talk on how Bitcoin is a pure humanity technology. Let's check it out. Here we go.
But I have optimism because of us, right? It's the best in us, and it inscribes the best in us, and more people are starting to realize that. And once you realize that, you don't go back. You spend more time. And so, if you're hopeful on humanity and you think 99% of the people on this planet are really great people wanting the best in it, more of those people are going to find this every day.
Yeah, I think the story of humanity is engineering a better world. Yeah. I think, and it's, specifically commercializing energy from the sun. And, the better we've been able to do that, then the more we flourish and grow as a species. And to me, that's why Bitcoin is the most pure human thing. Is it's engineered money, the first one we've ever engineered. And so it's literally engineering a better world, literally engineering better time and energy for ourselves. And then it's energy money. So, talk about commercializing energy from the sun so that we could do cool shit with each other. So Bitcoin is as pure humanity of a technology I've ever seen. And so being bullish Bitcoin is being bullish humanity, being bullish the future, right? Placing a premium on tomorrow. And that's why I think it will prevail, because if it doesn't, then I don't think humanity will, right? It so encaptures our species. So I couldn't agree more, my friend.
I mean, you can hear the pin drop, man. That was just so powerful, that message. Yeah, I mean, being pro Bitcoin is being pro humanity. I think and this is what they didn't say, but they definitely meant it. Being anti-Bitcoin is being anti-humanity. Being pro fiat is being anti-humanity. There's actually even a term for this. If you're pro fiat, you're unhuman. You're not a human. You're anti-human. Pro fiat means you're pro slavery, pro nihilism, pro usury, pro war, pro destruction, poverty, despair, elitism. It's all of it, right? And again, it's not a coincidence. Like Jack and Jeff were absolutely hit the nail on the head. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not a coincidence that when you adopt a Bitcoin standard, and if you're new here, and if this is your year 1, year 2, I promise things get better over time. You adopt a Bitcoin standard. By the time you get to year 3, year 4, Michael Saylor says it takes 4 years. I agree with that because that's a full cycle. In my opinion, it takes 4 years to realize that you made a good decision. It takes 8 years to be wealthier relatively to where you started. Money's relative. And the thing is, when you migrate to something that makes life cheaper as time progresses, it opens up your horizon in terms of being able to look forward and seeing the opportunities in front of you rather than just treading water, trying to keep your head above water and just worrying about, can I pay rent? Can I pay for food? I have to ask my boss for a raise. It's not it's not because you want a raise. It's because you are feeling the debasement. You're feeling your purchasing power decreasing. And because it's decreasing, you're just trying to keep up with it. That's all it is, right? If your money increased in purchasing power over time, would you be so concerned about getting a raise? In fact, I would even flip the conversation on its head, and I would say your boss over time would probably say, listen, man, we're going to probably have to pay you less, because that's how it is. That's how the world should be. And we've been psyoped into thinking that somehow half of every transaction, money is so fundamental to the human experience. People don't understand everything around you. This microphone, the camera, the laptop that I'm on, anything. I had to use money to purchase that. Unless for whatever reason you still use the barter system and use sheep or goat, but you can make an argument that the sheep or goat were a form of money. The point that I'm trying to make is that system is corrupted to the core, and there's a spiritual component to it, and people don't realize it. It affects you. If you're operating on a corrupted base layer that is broken, that is based on theft, it's going to affect your life. If you change to a base layer that is based on truth, very powerful word, an honest base layer, a base layer that has aligned incentives, so people just pursuing their greed make the system stronger, all of a sudden the world gets better. It's not a coincidence that the country that first made Bitcoin legal tender has the most popular president in the Americas. It's not a coincidence that the legacy media all over the world is attacking that small country that has a GDP of $32 billion. Like, why are they so hell-bent on attacking Nayib Bukele? Why are they so hell-bent on El Salvador? Are they pro the gangs that were murdering people? Like, you have to ask yourself that, right? Why is it that the first public company that transitioned to a Bitcoin standard, Michael Saylor has admitted that MicroStrategy would have failed. It was a zombie company until they pivoted into the Bitcoin strategy. And now they're one of the best performing, stocks in the S&P 500. Is that a coincidence? Is it a coincidence how it has improved my life completely? Of course, you're going to have to take my word for it. Opti's life too. I know that for a fact. We grew up together. We've built this career together. We've known each other a long time. I've seen Bitcoin change the lives of people fundamentally on a spiritual level, on an economical level, and all they had to do is just switch their unit of account. That's it. And just start saving in Bitcoin, earning in Bitcoin. And I promise you, your life will get better. It's as simple as that. I haven't read an article that has completely addressed the spiritual component. We've had people talk about it when they come on the show, but there's something deeper here. And I think that's what Jeff and Jack were trying to discuss. There's something deeper here. Bitcoin is pro-human money and fiat is anti-human money. It's as simple as that. Simple as that. Enough said. Opti, what's your take, bro?
Yeah, man, I totally agree. Like, I really love how Jack said it. Being bullish Bitcoin is being bullish humanity, and you really start to see. I know most people aren't on, at least in the audience, they usually yell at me when I say that I'm still on other social media platforms besides Twitter. But you're starting to see these videos come up on Twitter as well of people on Instagram and TikTok complaining about that their life is getting more expensive and they're barely able to survive and that things are getting worse and worse. And, they're wondering what's going on with inflation. They're wondering what's going on with the presidential candidates. And so people are starting to feel the pain. And for better or worse, people need to feel that pain before they are going to look for change. And I think that's where we are right now. Us Bitcoiners, we just got to the game early. We saw the problem. I don't know, maybe we were born to see the problem, or at least we got into the right environment to notice what the actual problem is right now. But as Jeff Booth and Jack Mallers were saying, we win via our optimism, because the flip side is a worldview of pessimism. It's a world where it's filled with nihilism. People are just tuning out. They're giving up. And all of us Bitcoiners are taking our life back. We're not only taking our sovereignty and our money, but our sovereignty in leading our own lives, and realizing that, look, we can't just give up. We have to build a better world. And if you build on a better money, then you fix the world. As the meme is, fix the money, fix the world. And so saving in Bitcoin not only helps humanity at large by putting restraints on the fiat system, but it helps yourself personally. And I think this is something I've been kind of talking on for a while, is like, yes, as Bitcoiners, when we try to shill Bitcoin to people, we usually start with like the negatives, like the fiat system's messed up, central banking is a scam, inflation's going insane, they can kick you off the banking system. And while I think that resonates with a lot of us, because that's probably why I'm here today and am a Bitcoiner in the first place, is because I understood those problems. But most people don't really seek the good in life first. For the most part, they try to avoid pain. And so I'm starting to try to flip my thinking when I talk about Bitcoin and show people that saving in Bitcoin brings you a better life. Like, everyone wants to live a good life. And if you can start to explain to people that Bitcoin leads you to a better life, then I think that's going to be just as strong of a narrative as just pointing out all the problems in the world. Because, people say money doesn't buy you happiness. And I agree. I say it all the time. I've never seen an unhappy person driving a jet ski, but removing money problems from your life does improve your mental health. And that's why I think a lot of us Bitcoiners are doing so well right now, considering that most people just followed the status quo. They were sheep-led.
We took out a poison, bro. Like, we took out a poison out of our lives.
Exactly. Well, we could say two, but we're not going to go down that route. All right, but wait, hold on. One last thing. Once you unplug from the mainstream brainwashing around money, you start to ask yourself, what else have I been lied to about? And you look into your food, you look into your health, you look into your relationships, and you start to do your own research and realize, look, I can lead my own life. I don't have to ask someone else. I don't have to export my expertise on, the trusted experts to lead me to a better life. It's like, I have a brain. I can do the research. I know what works with my body, with my life. And it was, while you were saying that spiel, Nico, it reminded me of just the name I use on the show in general, Optimus Fields, my moniker. And I literally put that on Twitter like on a whim. I created it, and then I got scared by like OPSEC in my early Bitcoin days, and I just randomly put Optimus Fields on my Twitter. And ever since then, it took on a life of its own. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's just the name itself has resonated with people. And as Bitcoiners, we understand like Bitcoin is optimism. Bitcoin is hope. And you can live in a world on the fiat standard and you have pessimism, nihilism, you don't plan for the future, or you get on the Bitcoin standard, you realize there is hope for my future. Like, there is hope for me and my family. There will be a better life moving forward on a Bitcoin standard. And I think that is a powerful message. Like, there is hope. We can change this. And it really starts with you as the individual saving in Bitcoin, putting some restraints on your spending habits and ensuring that you're taking your Bitcoin into custody. Like, I really do think that might be a more powerful narrative moving forward than just pointing at all the problems in the world and be like, everything's broken. Like, you see the problem. It's like, no, Bitcoin's going to give you a good life. And this is how you prosper. This is how you go forth and prosper, saving in Bitcoin.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I also want to read this comment by Narwhal Tacos from Rumble. Jimmy Dore with 1.5 million subs had a debate between a MMT economics professor and a real money gold bug. The professor revealed himself to be a sham. Point is, money is now being publicly questioned. 100%. Money is being questioned, and that's how we win. We get a portion of the population asking the question, what is money? Politicians do not have a good good response to that. Anyways, I do want to give a very special shout out to our sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about the Pleb Party in Nashville, Tennessee. It's going to be hosted Thursday, July 25th, the day before the largest Bitcoin conference in the US, in the world, Bitcoin 2024. You definitely don't want to miss the Pleb Party the day before. It's going to be a 12-hour open bar party from noon to midnight, hosted before the Bitcoin conference, July 25th. You don't want to miss it. Get your tickets before they sell out. Confirmed attendees include Larry Lepard, Preston Pish, the entire Simply Bitcoin crew, James Lavish, Robert Breedlove, Mark Moss, Pubby, Tatum Turnup, Adam O'Brien, many, many more. It's going to be hosted at an amazing rustic automobile factory from 1910 with brick walls and tons of proof of work atmosphere. The last Pleb Party in Miami was sold out 8 days before. That's right. There's like 5 tickets left at the $200 price point. I want to see you guys at the Pleb Party in Nashville. I want to talk to you guys in person. You definitely don't want to miss this epic party. Get your tickets quickly before the price goes up and before the tickets sell out. You will not be able to get these at the door. All right, everybody, let's hit the news. Lots to talk about. Here we go. I did that in the wrong way.
The Daily News.
I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Foundation Devices. It's self-custody done right. They built a premium grade hardware wallet called Passport right here in the US. It's fully open source and verifiable. It's the most intuitive Bitcoin wallet designed with a UX reminiscent of a simple feature phone. So you will know how to navigate it and use it the moment you pick it up. Get your Bitcoin off exchanges and into your own hands in just a few minutes. Experience the peace of mind that comes with taking ownership of your own keys. After a massive sellout during Bitcoin Miami 2023, the Passport is back in stock at foundationdevices.com. Bitcoin only, open source verifiable, completely air-gapped security model, gorgeous design craft, premium grade materials. If you're thinking about getting your Bitcoin off exchanges, this is the one for you. Check out the Passport link in the show notes below to learn more. All right, everybody, I made it incredibly easy for you guys. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now, take you directly to the Foundation Devices website where you guys can use where you guys could get yourself a Passport hardware wallet. Do you want to take self-custody of your Bitcoin? If you don't, you're completely cucked.
No,
don't do that.
Take self-custody of your Bitcoin.
It's captured Bitcoin. If you buy the ETF, you want to take cold storage and
you're too nice. You're too nice. We got to force them.
Like literally, bro, you're cucked. It's captured.
Leave watching Simply Bitcoin if you don't take custody.
Like you got to take self-custody. Passport is an incredible hardware wallet. You can pair it up with the Envoy app on your iPhone or your Android. It makes spending cold storage Bitcoin incredibly easy. I can't recommend it enough. Guys, get yourself a Passport hardware wallet. Anyways, so the theme and title of today's episode is basically, are you too late to Bitcoin? And I think Michael Saylor, you guys have heard the spiel where he's talked about, like, is it too late to buy real estate in Manhattan in 1980? Like, the best time was obviously in the 1900s, but it's always a good time to buy real estate in Manhattan because it's just a small island that everyone wants to move there. That's essentially the analogy that Michael Saylor uses. This is kind of like an indirect, like, case study. And what's important here is who is responding to Saylor and what he did. I'll let Saylor tell the story. We'll talk about it. Then we have an article to go along with it. Let's check it out.
We went to Harvard Business School and they taught the MicroStrategy case study. And the professor calls me and says, well, you know, the students are really excited. They studied the MicroStrategy story. This is after we'd done it and after it worked. He said, we studied the MicroStrategy story. He said, we'd like you to come in and talk to the class. This is the greatest business school in the United States, maybe the most famous business school in America, the best and the brightest. You have to be the best students. So this is what happens. I go to the class, I zoom in, I said, yeah, well, I mean, the company was at the end of the line. We were going to have to sell the company. The enterprise was worth $600 million. And we were at our wits' end. We tried everything we could possibly do for a decade. It didn't work. So finally we adopted the Bitcoin standard, and we quadrupled the stock price, and the shareholders made billions of dollars, and the employees all made millions of dollars, and everyone's delighted and happy, and it was good for Bitcoin and good for the company and good for the employees, and the customers are happy. And now, and this is back when MicroStrategy had a market cap of maybe $5 billion or something. Today, our market cap is more than $30 billion, a few months later. The professor goes, okay, you've heard the CEO. What do you guys think? Would you do it? And he takes a survey. First student, I don't know, seems kind of risky. Second student, it seems like an inappropriate use of shareholder funds. Third student, this isn't normally done. Fourth student, it kind of violates, convention in corporate finance. Fifth student, we really can't see, any major company doing it. I swear, I watched 10 students.
So, I mean, yes, we are early. If you have, 10 students in this case from Harvard Business School basically saying this is too risky. Yeah. I mean, people haven't woken up to this reality yet. And I think that if they did, Bitcoin would pass the market cap of gold. But here's the thing, everybody, and here's what you have to understand. The opportunity would be gone. If your neighbor was into Bitcoin, if your friends and your family, if the vast majority of people, if this thing has already gone mainstream, forget about the 100x. It's gone, right? It's that opportunity, it's still better money. It's still going to increase over time. Like Jeff Booth makes the case, right? The world should be deflationary because technology is deflationary. I completely agree with that. But, this is the opportunity. When you hear those types of stories, right? When you hear those types of stories, Harvard Business School, that is like the best or one of the best business schools in the world. And the guy's like, no, like that's inappropriate. That's insane. And that's your edge. That's where you have an advantage. Anyways, here's this amazing article by Croesus, and he says why the yuppie elites dismiss Bitcoin. He actually replied to Dylan's video, and he says, true as ever. So let's check out some of this article. It says, exacerbated with our conversation, I asked bluntly, what do you think the probability is that Bitcoin hits $1 million per coin? Without the hesitation, my friend replied, 0.001%. I laughed and said I'd put it at 80%. I asked if, after thousands of hours of research on my part, maybe there was some information asymmetry, he quipped, or maybe self-motivated beliefs. That's Dan. He's one of my good friends from business school. He got a 780 on his GMAT and is almost always the smartest man in the room. We both worked at one of the elite management consulting firms before attending one of the elite MBA programs, followed by returning to elite job opportunities in the most desirable cities in America. My B school friend group is full of Dans, the kids who ran the gauntlet of achievement-obsessed America and cleared the highest bar every time it rose higher, the consummate yuppie elite. Yet they all resist. Yet they are all resistant to Bitcoin. It has become a topic of a frustrated fascination for me. My other friend group have largely heeded my Opti. What does that say? Vociferous
big word
and fervent testimony that Bitcoin is the most important asset of the 21st century. Yet my elite MBA friends cling to dismissiveness that borders on outright hostility. Why? This is a complex topic with a few layers I will try to address here. As a starting point, let's introduce the closest attempt at an explanation that I've seen to date. Like, I absolutely love this, dude. It is absolutely amazing. It is so fitting. The infamous bell curve, right?
Look at me on the left. That looks so good.
We're Simply's over here. Yeah, I mean, like, look, like it's so true. Like, the mid-level IQ on the bell curve. There's so many things fit into this category. Like, this meme is what is this? What is the saying that you say, Opti? Memes are life.
Yeah, memes is life. Life is
life is memes. Memes are life. Like, the reason that memes are so effective is because they're true. And like, this is so effing true. Laughing my ass off. Imagine thinking 2FA at 250K is realistic. Like, of course it's realistic. It's infinity divided by 21 million. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. But at the same time, like, I think Bitcoin requires a bit of humility. And I think that if you operate in the top echelons of society, I mean, according to them, like, or according to how they see themselves, I think that they perhaps see themselves as the know-all be-all, right? But Bitcoin requires a little bit of humility because you have to understand that you get into Bitcoin at the price you deserve. And I think sometimes that could be very humbling if you're a quote unquote yuppie elite that has been told like you're the smartest person in the room. And then someone on the left side of the bell curve is like, yeah, Bitcoin good, number go up. And then they apparently front run you into getting into Bitcoin. So it is a bit of humility test. And I honestly believe that this is one of the reasons. I'm a huge fan of Elon, by the way. Teslas drive themselves. They're dope. The man lands rockets. Get he's a bit of a shitcoiner, but I believe he's a bit of a shitcoiner is because Bitcoin is a humility test. And I think that if you're someone like Elon that, you know, thinks he could fix the world and stuff, and maybe a lot of those claims are true, I believe it, but you can't fix Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin is, and that's enough, right? So anyways, goes on to say, clever and compelling, this model explains that many in Bitcoin perceive some of the smartest people in the world think Bitcoin is going to boom, but so do some dumbasses. Importantly, this model also explains the mockery and resistance we see from our reasonably intelligent friends and family, but it's too easy of an explanation. I cannot claim to be smarter than Dan or hundreds of other brilliant MBAs in my graduating class, not one of whom has reached Bitcoin maximalism as far as I know. Clearly, there is something else going on here. After mulling this over for a number of months, I think I've come up with the framework that, while not perfect, provides more explanatory power. First, let's separate the 250K believers in Murad's meme into what they really are. Bitcoin moon boys on the left and deeply researched Bitcoin maximalists on the right. In truth, there are two different groups. The first group believes that Bitcoin is going to the moon largely because they believe that past performance is indicative of future results. And we'll say that this group subscribes to Bitcoin moonism. I mean, like, it's really like at the same time, like, it's really not that complicated. Like, it's infinity divided by 21 million. You can't just create more Bitcoin. There's a cap supply. There's an infinite amount of dollars. It's really not rocket science. I think if you're coming from the traditional financial system, I think you have a tendency to overcomplicate things. Bitcoin isn't complicated. You're just coming from a system that is complicated by design. Anyways, goes on to say, the second group has come to understand the game theoretic inevitability of Bitcoin's continued rise in the context of central bank money printing, the deterministic price mechanisms of quadrennial supply shocks via Bitcoin's halvings, and the market psychology that programmatic price appreciation precipitates, and the winner takes all implications of an absolute scarce store of value asset, what we call Bitcoin maximalism. I mean, like I said, I don't think it's that complicated, but I think he does make a really good point, and I think this meme sums it up perfectly. Anyways, here's Michael Saylor doubling down. Like I told you guys in the beginning, he just announced that MicroStrategy used the infinite money glitch to buy $50 million more worth of Bitcoin. And now here's American Hodl. I think American Hodl has the best response to this. It's not complicated whatsoever. And Peter McCormack, of course, excellent interviewer, just asked them the question, are we too late to Bitcoin? What's your take on this? Let's check it out.
For this digital thing, came back in 2016.
It's a little too fast. Let's slow that down to normal speed. Here we go.
Tap into with you. You talked about people thinking they're too late on Twitter recently.
Oh, yeah.
The ego behind that.
Yeah. So when you first came to Bitcoin, didn't you think you were too late?
I've said this over and over. Every single time I've ever bought Bitcoin, I thought it's expensive.
100%.
When it was £80, I was like, what the fuck? £80 for this digital thing? Came back in 2016, it was £600. I was like, fuck, it's so expensive. And there's never been a time I thought, oh, that was cheap. Every time.
I totally agree with you, apart from there was one day, March 2020, that's the day where I was like, fuck, this is cheap.
It's cheap today. Yeah. When it went to 3,800.
Yeah.
Well, that loan I took, I knew I had to get, but I didn't feel like it was cheap.
No.
I still think, fucking hell, 17.5 grand.
Yeah.
Like, it feels expensive all the time, which I think is a good thing.
I made my first buys at like 220, right? And when we're looking back on $220 Bitcoin, it's like, holy shit, it was basically free Bitcoin. They were just giving it away. But at the time, it was so expensive in my mind. And I kept thinking about, there were all these stories you were hearing about the guys who had got it at a quarter and a nickel, or they mined it for free on their laptop. And I was comparing myself to those guys, right? And so I think when a lot of people are having conversations today and, they're talking about Bitcoin, I hear this all the time from like normie friends or whatever, neighbors, friends, they basically go, man, good for you, man. I missed it though, dude. I missed it, and I'm like, you didn't miss it, man. You didn't miss it. I mean,
do you know the answer to that question? Because I got a text yesterday for somebody saying, "Oh, I think I'm too late to buy some more." I always just reply, "Well, I'm not selling."
Yeah.
So what do you think I think?
Well, or people want the most annoying one is people want to know the next Bitcoin. What's the next Bitcoin, dude? Like, dude, it's Bitcoin. Thanks. I fucking hate that question. My God. But no, I mean, the answer I say is just, hey, listen, it was really expensive for me also. I felt like $200 Bitcoin was expensive. And like, I know that's a mind fuck when you hear that today, but eventually, here's the framework to think about. When the price moves $200 today, I don't notice it. It probably moved $200 100 times while we were having this conversation. I didn't notice or care. It doesn't mean anything to me. And eventually, one of these days, the price will move $65,000 and you literally won't notice or care. And I know that sounds stupid, but that is going to happen, because are you really going to notice a difference between 2.62 million versus 2.68 million in your account? No, you're going to look at it and you're going to go, still 2.6, still doing good. You're not going to really care about the 60 grand. So like the 60 grand, believe it or not, is de minimis. It's a rounding error, even though it's the price of a really pretty nice car. And you have to just check yourself and say, okay, do I believe in Bitcoin's story going forward? Bitcoin does this thing. There's this other video I put out on Twitter recently where I'm like screaming over a Cash App chart, and people seem to like that one. But what I've noticed here is that like we get really concerned about price tops and lows, right? But if you take this broader view, Bitcoin moves in order of magnitude each epoch. So every epoch it moves up in order of magnitude. When me and you came in, it was in the hundreds of dollar range, and then it was in the thousands of dollar range post 2017 bubble. And yeah, it went briefly to 10, 20, whatever, but it came back down. It stayed mainly in the thousands of dollar range. Then, we're now in the tens of thousands of dollar range. It's been here for 3 years. We're all anticipating it going into the hundreds of thousands of dollar range. And then it's going to blip to 1 million. I'm going to win my bet against you. Fuck you, by the way. And then it's going back into the hundreds of thousands of dollar range, and it's going to stay there for the rest of the epoch. Then it will move into the 7-figure range, then the 8-figure range, right? So if you believe in Bitcoin's story, that you still, right now, as the time of this recording, it's 65,000 or whatever. If you believe that there is a $100,000 epoch coming, 1 million and an 8 million, tens of millions, then you have 3 orders of magnitude to go from here.
I'm going to leave it at that. American Hodl absolutely slaying it like he always does, and just dropping the wisdom, man. I mean, like, I completely agree, like 100%. I completely agree with everything he had to say. It seems like the crowd does as well. We asked the crowd, 220 of you guys voted, are we late to Bitcoin? 86% of you guys voted no. So apparently you guys agree. Only 14.
Relevant poll too. So
yeah, I mean that is a good amount of people that voted. So
it needs to be 2K. It needs to be 2K to be statistically relevant.
Oh, is that the number?
FYI, yeah.
Is that the number? Okay.
Like the legacy media number. So I'm just trolling.
Oh, wow.
But anyways,
well, we're pulling out legacy media statistics now. But yeah, I mean,
journalists think
I think Hodl hit the nail on the head. Connect that with the Saylor video of him basically giving a lecture to a bunch of Harvard students and then being like, "What you did was too risky." Yeah, I still think we're early. And remember Opti when Opti and I were really class of 2016, 2017. So I still remember like it was yesterday. We're like $100. It was like that for a long time. $100 used to get you 1 million Satoshis. Those days are long gone. So
I still do that math though.
Yeah. that doesn't change. But yeah, I mean, and I remember back in 2016, 2017, I was like, holy shit, like $700 a Bitcoin, like $500 a Bitcoin, like fuck that, like this is so expensive. If I knew then what I know now, like I went hard, but I think I would have gone way harder. I don't know how, because I went hard as fuck, but I think I would have gone way harder And I agree with Hodl. I think we're going to look back on this. And by the way, the comment is absolutely right. They aren't it isn't mainstream media. We don't call it mainstream media. We call it legacy media.
I did say legacy, but
it is a legacy media. It's not mainstream media anymore. We are the media now, Anon. Anyone who could just make content and post to Twitter, you're the media now. Anyways, so yeah, I think we're going to be looking back. I completely agree with Hodl. Now, I don't know about the timeline. Like, I have no idea. No one knows. The general consensus this cycle is that people believe that the diminishing return, that's the general feeling that I get, is like the diminishing returns. I keep hearing that over and over and over again. Last cycle was like 100K guaranteed. Bitcoin always does the exact opposite of what everyone else thinks, right? So yes, I think that we still have orders of magnitude to go. I think it's infinity divided by 21 million. This is not rocket science. This is not complicated. Bitcoin is the best money the world has ever seen. It's literally secured by the largest, most powerful decentralized computing network on planet Earth. Yeah, I mean, it's really not hard once you get it. And of course, you can only benefit from all this if you take self-custody properly, which is why we recommend the stamp seed and the passport by Foundation devices. Anyways, Opti, I mean, Hodl has a way with words, bro.
Yeah, he does.
He has a way with words.
He speaks to the 80 IQ Bitcoiner in me.
He has a way with words, bro.
With a tangent here, I think it's kind of the issue with a lot of us Bitcoin content creators is like, well, not necessarily us because we speak in normal terms, but a lot of people speak about Bitcoin in like, multi-syllable words to explain very simple ideas. And it's like, yeah, that got us here. But I think moving forward, again, trying to work on the narrative of how we explain Bitcoin to people, like how Hodl is able to explain Bitcoin and the market, I think it resonates with a lot of people. Hence why a lot of us kind of look up to Hodl as like our big brother. He was our general in the trenches when I was a new Bitcoiner in 2018, telling us to, stack our balls off and get to 6.15 and sell your cars and all that stuff. And you don't need all those nice things. So I remember those days. But anyways, that was a tangent. Going back to what we just covered, to Peter's point, I flip it, and shouts out to my boy Wine because he's the one that really brought this to mind. But all of us in the chat, me and Nico, Wine, all of my friends, we all buy tops as historical timestamps. Like it always feels expensive, but you can say to your children or your children's children eventually, like, yeah, I remember buying Bitcoin at 69,420, and now it's what 6.9 mil or something crazy like that. Who knows where it's going. But yeah, we love buying tops. That basically proves our conviction in where Bitcoin is going. We don't care. It does feel expensive. Of course, we all feel the pain of like, man, I'm getting less sats, but that's besides the point. And then I really love Hodl's framing on the Bitcoin volatility because after a while, it really does mean nothing. When I got into Bitcoin, I literally got into Bitcoin at the end of 2017, and my first Bitcoin buy was at 10K. And now looking back, like when I was buying it, it did feel expensive, but I also knew it was going to continue to go up just because of how frothy the market was. But now, like, I really wish I bought more at 10K and 3K and 6K and 15K and 20K and all of the Ks up into where we are today. So you will have this same experience looking backwards and then going all the way to the beginning of the Saylor video. Just like, it's so funny. Saylor's basically just telling these Harvard business students to have fun staying poor. He's like, I'm literally telling you guys what I did. I'm a billionaire. And you guys are like, oh, seems risky. No one does it. So just love seeing the hubris of the quote unquote best and brightest. And it really goes to show
it's the meme, bro. It's the fucking bell curve meme.
Definitely the meme, but also just like how detached college students are from reality and how you can't really learn real world lessons from books. Like I went to college and I look back on it and I tell most people, unless you're trying to be like a doctor or a lawyer or something, like avoid going to college because it literally is a scam for most of the degrees out there. Like I'm glad that I ended up in the degree that I did because it taught me how to think.
What was your last class, Opti?
I don't even remember my last class.
Mao Zedong thought.
No, that was one of the philosophy classes. It was Mao Zedong on rhetoric or something, the dialectics of rhetoric or something like that. All right. Or can I say the C word? The collectivist almost got me. All right. I'm not going to lie. Anyways, I'm getting derailed here. I find it the most interesting part that I find about this video is that we got, Saylor, Metaplanet. We got the Wisconsin Pension Fund. We have BlackRock and Larry Fink. We have Semler Scientific, CEOs with real world problems looking for real world solutions, AKA Bitcoin. And then we have these college students who are like, oh, no real company's ever done this. No one with actual money has ever actually bought Bitcoin. And you're like, these CEOs have to deal with real world consequences, real world problems, and they're seeing the landscape that they're working with, and they realize, oh my God, I need to buy Bitcoin to protect myself. Like, if that isn't signal to people, then that just goes to show that you're completely detached from how the world really works. And then to answer the question personally, how I know we're still early to Bitcoin is because I still kind of talk to normie people all the time. And when I bring up Bitcoin, it's usually like one of two avenues. It's either like, oh yeah, that's a cool, internet pet rock or whatever, or they think you're crazy and you're an idiot. And if you talk to normal people about Bitcoin, I'd venture to guess that most people you come across aren't Bitcoin maximalists. They don't understand why we go so hard in the paint in Bitcoin and why it's so important. And then I still see people saying that Bitcoin has no use case. Like Nico, I didn't bring this up because I keep blanking on it, but someone on our TikTok, guys, we're on TikTok. We're trying to expose the Bitcoin content to all of the avenues, TikTok, Instagram, we even have a Twitch. No one's on there, but YouTube, Twitter, all that stuff. Someone commented on one of our TikToks, I think it was like yesterday or 2 days ago, that there is no need for Bitcoin. And I was just sitting there like, this is where we are right now. People still don't understand the problem. They still think Bitcoin is some speculation, some, get rich quick scheme. And if you talk to normal people, they don't understand Bitcoin like we understand. So like, yeah, Bitcoin at 70K or whatever it is today seems like you're late to Bitcoin in price terms, but there's nowhere near 8 billion people or 4 billion or even 1 billion people saving in Bitcoin and knowing what Bitcoin is. Like, until we have billions of Bitcoin maximalists, I will still say that we are early. And even going closer to home for me, like most of my friends still don't own Bitcoin. They still think I'm the crazy one that's a Bitcoiner. And I know their lives, like they're struggling for money. They're struggling to survive. And I'm always here like, dude, just save in Bitcoin. And they're like, no, you're an idiot. Like, yes, we're still early to Bitcoin. And even further, like, I know a lot of people say they've missed the boat, but like, if the ship you're on is sinking and there's still boats to escape on, have you really missed the boat? It's like, no, there's still boats. Get on the boat, you idiot. Like, don't just sink with the Titanic. Like, there's still an opportunity to save in Bitcoin. But again, it kind of goes back, and maybe I'm flip-flopping on my narratives here, but people don't understand what the problem is. And yes, we want to explain the problem to people, but also like just show them life's better on Bitcoin. Yes, 70K Bitcoin seems expensive, but in the future, Bitcoin will be making 70K moves in a day, and you're not even going to blink. Like Bitcoin, we're still kind of waiting for the Omega 10K candle, but like when it does the first time, I'll be like, oh my God, I remember when I was buying Bitcoin at 10K per Bitcoin, and now it's doing it in a day. Like, this is how Bitcoin works. Infinity divided by 21 million. And now we have the biggest asset managers in the world soon enough going to be dropping trillions in to buy Bitcoin. Like, we have companies that are worth more than the whole Bitcoin market cap right now. And you think you're late to Bitcoin. It's like, no, you need to zoom out. You don't need to buy a whole Bitcoin at 70K. Just get off zero. Start saving in Bitcoin, because these price movement and the price of today is going to look cheap in the future. And you don't want to be sitting there telling your great-great-grandchildren like, oh yeah, I could have bought Bitcoin at 70K, but I was an idiot and I was way too confident in my position and I was a fiat shill. And this is why you're broke and eating porridge, is because your grandpappy was an idiot.
All right, everybody. I do want to give a a shout out to our sponsor. Of course, I'm talking about the Orange Pill app. Stack friends who stack sats. Join the 10,826 Bitcoiners that are currently on the app. Has a really cool geographical feature. It will show you the Bitcoiners that are near you. So if you're traveling, you go to a new city, you pull up the Orange Pill app and it will literally connect with Bitcoiners that are near you. Has a clever filtration system, so you'll only find fellow Bitcoiners in the app. This is the best way to get in contact with me. Send me a DM on the Orange Pill app. I'll get back to you. I don't answer my Twitter DMs anymore. The Orange Pill app is the Bitcoin social layer. Stack friends who stack sats. Download the Orange Pill app today. Scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. All right, everybody, let's hit the culture. Lots to talk about.
The Daily Culture.
All right, everybody, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor, KABOOMRACKS, the most trusted place to buy, sell, and host mining equipment. To check out their inventory, scan the QR code or check the link in the video description. It'll take you directly to their Telegram where you can connect with a member of their sales team. They make purchasing their products easy and transparent. You could also sell your mining equipment with them. Access their vast network of domestic and international customers when you sell your mining equipment with KABOOMRACKS. What are you waiting for? Start your mining journey today. Also, if you want to start mining instantly, check out their special deal that's currently live right now. They're offering instant hosting for an S19K Pro 120 terahashes. You own the miner. This is not a hash rate contract. The equipment is already online and has been running, so it has a very low chance of DOA. The price includes a 3-month security deposit and first month. Your hash rate goes online after your payment is confirmed. So to start your mining journey, scan the QR code on your screen and start mining those precious Satoshis. All right, here is the man, the myth, the Wolverine, Javier Milei.
So I really wanted to get the picture of him with the chainsaw, but I couldn't find a good one. So this one's fitting, with his fist up, fighting the collectivist globalist of Argentina. Anyways, I do want to do a little PSA before because, we've been covering Argentina. We've heard a lot of good sound bites coming out of Javier Milei. Not necessarily agree with a lot of the moves he's made. I don't think I need to lay them all out, but, maybe a few like meeting with the Clintons and endorsing Zelensky and some of this stuff makes me feel a little bit of concern. I think also having talks with the IMF and getting applause at the World Economic Forum, some of these things do make me feel a little unsure here. But moving forward from that, we've seen that. What was that meme that you said, Nico? We have a test example of what it will take for a country to go Bitcoin, or at least more free market capitalist, and it's 150% inflation on their local currency. So we're seeing that people are starting to wake up to this idea that, oh my God, we have a problem and I need to figure out a solution. And of course, this is simply Bitcoin, and we think Bitcoin is the solution. It's definitely a first step. You need to save in something that cannot be debased, and then from there, there will be ripples that start to make society better and cleanse itself. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm kind of doing this in chronological order of the tweets that I got. So first and foremost, you probably heard the legacy media, the corporate press, as the chat was telling us, basically say that Argentina is going into a whirlwind and now there's riots and there's burning in the streets and it's never been worse. And so I found this tweet and I really enjoy it. But for the 5th month in a row since Javier Milei became president, Argentina has posted a budget surplus. Remember what I was telling you guys yesterday in regards to the U.S. national debt's at almost $35 trillion. I don't think we've ever been in a budget surplus in America. And yet Javier Milei has been able to do that in 5 months in Argentina. We've seen what happened with Nayib Bukele, done it in El Salvador, and how he course corrected his country. So just bringing some stats here because people love the receipt. People love to know that, hey, we're not just making this stuff up and we're not just pulling things out of thin air. The numbers don't lie. That they have a budget surplus coming out of Argentina. And then moving forward, this also came out that Javier Milei has extended an invitation to Nayib Bukele saying, we will welcome you with open arms. Does this mean that he's going to put Argentina on a Bitcoin standard? No, but he's open to the ideas of Nayib Bukele and how he course corrected El Salvador. He's probably looking at what Nayib Bukele has done for crime. Obviously, he's going to look at the the economy. I saw a good tweet. I didn't pull it up, but it said something on the lines of Javier Milei to the economy is what Nayib Bukele was to crime in El Salvador. And I'm like, damn, that's a pretty solid tweet. Anyways, the reason I'm bringing up Javier Milei in general today is because this popped up on our radar yesterday. So Javier Milei tweeted, "Hola a todos," hi everyone, and then Gabor Gerbox, which is he's a Bitcoiner. He talks about macro. He covers the financial world, and he goes, "Bitcoin a todos," Bitcoin for everyone. And then Javier Milei responded. He goes, "There will be free competitions of currency, so if you want to use Bitcoin, there will be no problems. And you can also use other units such as WTI, BTU, and the one that is most appropriate for your business. In accounting terms, it is solved by the functional currency method." So we have Javier Milei very directly saying that there will be free market capitalism in currencies. If you want to use Bitcoin in Argentina, you can. And I think this is further signal to the idea that the Bitcoin standard idea that Nayib Bukele has exposed the world to is starting to catch on in South America. So does this mean that Javier Milei is going to go, the legal tender route? No, but it does mean that they're not going to actively fight Bitcoin. They're actually going to embrace it. Free market competition of currencies is a good thing. So again, Nico kind of was trolling when he said, now we have a test example of what it takes for a country to embrace Bitcoin. And it's just 150% inflation. But he tweeted this out. He's been going hard on his Twitter. And for those of you on the flip side that are like, oh, but things are going bad, they're rioting. I'm not going to put the audio here, but there's some video here of them, burning things and rioting. And Javier Milei tweeted this, or actually rather reposted this, and he goes, for the Kirchneristas,
the communists.
Yeah, and the left, these guys are not criminals, but good people. And Nico brought it up earlier as a rhetorical question. Obviously, we know the answer, but is it a surprise that the corporate press is out there saying that Argentina is going to shit because of small riots in certain cities? No, it goes to show that they do not want the Bitcoin signal to spread. They don't want free market competitions in currencies because they get their power from the control of fiat currencies. And so the fact that we are seeing Javier Milei go out on Twitter again saying there will be free competition of currency. So if you want to use Bitcoin, there will be no problems, I think is some signal moving forward of what we're seeing play out in America as well. Like ever since Trump came out and said he's pro Bitcoin, the left has to make a pivot on their Bitcoin stance. Obviously, us Bitcoiners haven't forgotten the hell they put us through in the last year and a half, 2 years. And now you're seeing that Bitcoin is becoming a defining political stance. Someone in the chat said, you want to know how I know we're not early to Bitcoin, or you're not late to Bitcoin, is because in the early days, Bitcoin was an experiment, and now Bitcoin is a presidential issue. Like, you are not late to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still entering the main stage in regards to what Bitcoin will do for society, people having to have a Bitcoin stance. And as we say all the time on the show, wait, let me just do it this way.
You're against Bitcoin. You're against freedom.
Bitcoin, yeah, exactly. Bitcoin is the pro-human stance here. Yes, it is software. Yes, I know people are concerned about technology ruining the world. And yes, I know there's some hesitancy about exchanging your quote-unquote hard-earned wealth into a digital ledger. But Bitcoin puts restraints on the fiat system, and now we're seeing that signal is spreading out. So will we see another country soon come out and make Bitcoin legal tender? I don't think it's necessary. The fact that we have Javier Milei say there will be competition of currencies, and if you want to use Bitcoin, go for it. This is showing and proving to me that the signal around Bitcoin is improving and more people are waking up that Bitcoin fixes this. It starts with the currency. It always goes back to the money. It's always about the money. If you follow the money, you will start to understand what's actually happening in the world. And, don't trust us, guys. Like, of course, verify this news. Make sure you get off zero. But we're seeing that there is a vibe shift happening out there in regards to Bitcoin. And this is one of those points. So do I agree with everything that Javier Milei is doing in Argentina? No, but I'm also not Argentinian. So I don't know the nuance that plays out in their country. But like I said before, Nico and I did have a conversation with someone that we're working with that is Argentinian. And I asked her point blank, like, what do you think about Javier Milei? And they're like, I think I'm hopeful in regards to Javier Milei. Do I know everything? Am I in tune with everything? No, but there seems to be a trend towards Javier Milei actually wanting to help the Argentinian country. And if he's going to allow competitions of currencies and let people use Bitcoin, like it's only orange pastures from here for Argentina. So we'll see how this plays out. But I thought that was some interesting signal in regards to culture shift and what's going on in the world.
Yeah, it's a very kind of interesting approach, right? Because he essentially, and Max and Stacey are kind of commenting on this, because Max and Stacey have done a pretty incredible job, I would say, kind of keeping El Salvador isolated from a lot of the shitcoinery. And Javier Milei's approach is basically more kind of free market oriented, like let the best currency win. I'm curious to see how that experiment plays out. Obviously, as a Bitcoiner, I'm a fan of how El Salvador has approached it. Obviously, Milei is taking a different approach. Now, in regards to the riots and all that stuff, like, yeah, I mean, collectivists are going to collectivist, right? Like, that's what they do. Like, and they form, a huge commotion because the government wants less control, wants more free market, wants less taxes. I find that weird, but I mean, I guess there's some people that benefit from that type of system, but I would say the vast majority of people benefit more from, a free market economy, and an economy based on incentives rather than an economy based on coercion. So I find that interesting. And of course, like the legacy media, man, like they're just a bunch of collectivists, man. Like they followed, they criticized El Salvador. They called Nayib Bukele a fascist, everything that they did the same thing with Bolsonaro. They did the same thing with Milei. Like it always goes in one direction, which I find really, really interesting. So yeah, I mean, but it is what it is. I think the truth always is going to surface, and I think it's just our job to just point out the truth, and I think it takes care of the rest, right? So anyways, let's see what happens in Argentina. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to say, just to add to your point, and we probably have beaten a dead horse, metaphorically, of course, YouTube. But it just goes to show that the corporate press or legacy media or whatever you want to call it is just a mouthpiece for the things that we don't like in the world. And they're no longer journalists. That's why shouts out to our boys over at the Bitcoin Bugle for trolling on this point, that there is no more real journalists in corporate press world. They're literally just bought and paid for mouthpieces for whatever narrative they want to push on the people. It is all brainwashing and psyoping, hence why you don't want to trust, you want to verify. You need to do the homework yourself, or you're going to get led to the slaughter. And this is what Bitcoin teaches you.
100%. And someone in the comment, Phil says, Milei brought inflation down to 4%. So yeah, let's protest that. Woo! Which I find
from 150 to 4%. Oh, that's going to hell, man.
Yeah. No, it's absolutely hilarious. Anyways, guys, that was the June 20th episode of Simply Bitcoin Live. If you guys enjoyed the show, smash the like button. Consider subscribing if you feel like we provided you value. I'm your host, Nico. This is my legendary co-host, Optimus Fields. We're Simply Bitcoin Live. We'll be back tomorrow for the Friday episode, the last episode of the week. Until then, everyone,
we made it another week, Nico.
Good day and good night.
Well, because they want to sell it eventually, Michael. I mean, let's be honest. Most of the people who are, yes, sure, some people pass it on to their children, but like most of the people who are buying assets at some point want to sell the assets at a profit. So let
me say it a different way.
Okay.
People that use fiat currency as a store of value, there's a name for them. We call them poor.
Episode was brought to you by BitcoinWell.com, on a mission to enable independence.